Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
You have to turn it on. Now that it's on, see, Dylan, remember how I said it's not about being perfect? And that I just did that so that you would know that it's okay to make mistakes. Shabbat Shalom. We are here this morning to do a few things. We are here, first of all, because it is Shabbat, and this is what we do on Shabbat as we come together in community, in celebration, and we look for these moments of peace and time to breathe and space to turn off our distractions and devices. That means that if you have your phone on or near you, you can put it away, you can put it on silent because you're not going to need it. Everyone who needs to be here right now is here, and the event is being documented professionally, so you're not going to need it. We know many of you are here on the live stream as well. So if you are here on the live stream, we invite you to find a way to center in and focus so that you can be present with us. We know that Dylan will feel your presence, even though you are here in a little bit of a different way than you probably expected. The second thing we are here to do, and perhaps the most exciting thing we are here to do today, is to celebrate. Hey, Dylan. We are here to celebrate the bar mitzvah of Dylan Colombik. Dylan, you have worked so hard. You have worked for a long time, and your parents have imagined this moment for a really long time. And even though it looks a little bit different than we probably thought it would originally, we are here nonetheless ready to celebrate you and all that you have learned over the last 13 years. So with that, we are going to begin our service. Those of you who are here have a copy of this book, yes? This is our Siddur, our prayer book, and you'll notice as we're going through it that it goes in the Hebrew direction, which means that what seems like the back is actually the front, what seems like the front is actually the back. You're nodding, you know this, you've seen these books before. Excellent news. We have Hebrew here, transliteration next to it, so even if you've never spoken a word of Hebrew in your life, you'll be able to follow along. Translation underneath, and then on the left side of the page, we have interpretive poems and readings. Cantor and I will be calling page numbers as you go, but if you happen to get lost and find yourself somewhere else, don't panic. There will be another page number soon enough, and you can take a moment, enjoy the page that you are on, because perhaps, as we say, that is where you are meant to be. So with that, we are ready for Shabbat. We are ready to celebrate. Cantor, have I missed anything? I don't think so.
I may do an interpretive dance.
He always does, especially the second bar mitzvah. He dances more, so you're in luck.
So if I'm dancing and clapping, feel free, please.
So, Dylan, I think we are ready to really begin. I would love to invite you up to the podium and to invite your grandma, Arlene Bloom, to present your talit to you.
So come right over here. All right, I got the microphone for you. Put it here so you can probably be heard. Okay. Do you want me to hold your speech for you? Okay. I got pretty much. Oh, you got that. Okay.
Well, I might need it.
Okay.
Dylan, it is my honor to present this special talit for you to wear on your very first Shabbat service as a Jewish adult. This is a very special talit. It belonged to Papa. It has a wonderful history. Not only did he wear it when he went to temple, he wore it on special occasions, such as your mom's bar mitzvah and your Uncle Howard's bar mitzvah. Dylan, you were the only grandson that Papa was lucky enough to hug, love, and adore. In fact, you were his pride and joy. He would have loved to have been here to celebrate with you. But you know that he is looking down upon you today with pride and he is so honored and so happy that you are wearing his talit as you become a bar mitzvah. Dylan, by wearing this bar mitzvah, you continue to keep Papa a part of your life. Shabbat shalom. Once you can. Okay. I love you, Dylan.
Do I say the prayer?
Yeah, go ahead, say the prayer.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, lehitatech bat tzitzit.
Amen. Beautiful. And going forward with the service, it will take on even more meaning, knowing that your Papa is here with you right around your shoulders, as I can imagine exactly where we would want him to be. One quick announcement that I did forget to make, which is about bar mitzvahs during this unique era we are living in right now. Please make sure throughout the service that you keep your mask on all the way from the top of your nose to the bottom of your chin, unless you are sequestered in a phone booth like Cantor and I and Dylan. And when we step outside, we'll put our masks on as well. So Dylan, are you ready for us to begin?
Yeah.
Cantor, are we going forward with morning blessings or? Yes. All right, page 198.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasek vivina lahavchim bin yom uvelayla, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim, who frees the captive.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokaf kafufim, who lifts up the fallen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz al hamayim, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamachin mitzadei gaver, who strengthens our steps.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbisha rumim, who clothes the naked.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanotein la'ef koach, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir shana me'enai, utnuma me'afapai, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tselem Elohim, who has made me in the image of God.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorim, who has made me free.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael, who has made me a Jew.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozer Yisrael b'gvura, who girds Israel with strength.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Oter Yisrael b'tifara, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Amen.
Let's continue on page 218 or page 100 if you are using the online version of the Siddur with Hallelujah, Psalm 150.
When we get to the chorus, I hope you all will join in singing. Hallelujah, El Mekodsho, Hallelujah, Birkia Uzo, Hallelujah, Bivorotav, Hallelujah, Kerov Gudlo, Hallelujah, Peteka Shofar, Hallelujah, Penevel Bechinor, Hallelujah. Tofu machol, hallelujah, beminim ve'ugav, hallelujah, betzilzlei shama,
Let's turn to page 224 or page 106 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמד ורח חירותי ואמליך מלכותי בחי יכון וביומכון וחי לכל בית ישראל בגאולה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתהלב ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה וימרו אמן.
We turn to the next page and stand for the Baruch Hu.
Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai lai yai lai lai Praise Adonai, to whom our praises due, now and forever. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya.
Ha'me'ir la'aretz v'la'darim aleha barachamim u'tuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam b'chokhma asita mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha selah.
Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkechu lanu meheira le'oro Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot.
Dylan, why don't you join us back up at the podium and lead us in the English in the middle of page 230 or 112.
How deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace
from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us truly. You drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise to you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love.
Baruch atah Adonai, abocher be'amo Yisrael pe'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Let's be seated. We'll turn to page 234 or 116 as Dylan leads us in Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם למענך ודיברתם בם והשיבתך בביתך ובלכתך באדרת, ובשולתך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפו בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, ויהיותם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen.
We turn to page 239 or 121 at the middle of the page, and Dylan will lead us responsively. Or not.
Excuse me, that was my fault. Go ahead and
The eternal truth is that you alone are God, and right there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. Next page, we find Micha Mocha.
Let's join together in clapping our hands, stomping our feet. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Ya lai 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 ya la lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 ya la 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 lai. Micha Mocha, who is like you, O God? Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha ne'etar ba'kodesh. Lo ratehi lo tosef eleh. Lo ratehi lo tosef eleh. Shira chadasha shimechu geulim. Lesimcha lesefat hayam. Yachad kulam hodu vehimlichu. Hodu vehimlichu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch le'olam le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Uma Be'ezrat Yisrael U'ferechenu Mecha Yehuda Be'Yisrael Go'aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Let's turn to the next page, page 242 or 124 for the Amidah, our central prayer, our standing prayer. We'll have the opportunity to pray both communally as a community, and also for some individual private prayers and reflection. Let's stand together and Dylan will lead us.
Adonai, Sefer Taif Tif Taf, Ufi Agi Kehilah Kedoshah, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, Bezocher Asdei Avot ve'Imaot, Umeigu Levnei Lechem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol Atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol beracharim ramim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emumato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'neiman atah lechagyot hakol. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
And we continue with the Kedoshah on page 248. Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei mahom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, V'kahazel zevei aman, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir Hadireinu, Adonai Adoneinu, V'adir Shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai, Mimkomo echad hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu v'hu Yashmienu, Berachamav leinei kol chai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, V'yimeloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion ledor vador. Hallelujah, hallelujah,
Let's be seated. We'll turn to the top of 253 or 134. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Let's take this time now for our own personal prayers and private reflections.
We continue together in a prayer for peace. Page 258, Sim Shalom. Sim Shalom. Tova ubracha ba'olam chen v'chesed Verachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha. Barecheinu yotzreinu. Barecheinu yotzreinu. panecha ki ve'or panecha natat lanu Adonai Eloheinu Torat chaim ve'ahavat chesed u'tzedaka u'veracha verachamim ve'chaim ve'shalom ve'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol eit uvechol sham yishlomecha baruch atah Adonai hamevarech et amo Yisrael bashalom. Amen.
Amen. As we get ready for the Torah service, and this is the point at which Dylan will prepare to both chant from Torah and also teach us about his Torah portion and what his Torah portion has meant to us in usual times, which it hasn't been now for a long time. But back in the day, back in usual times, we would take the Torah out and we would literally pass it from hand to hand. We would pass it from grandparents to parents and then into the hands of the child becoming bar or bat mitzvah to show the way that Torah is taught from one generation to the next. And in seeing the bar bat mitzvah student take the Torah from the hands of his parents, we also imagine the many, many, many generations that had to come before in order for Torah to come into those hands. And we have the honor of imagining the generations yet to come, the ones who are going to learn Torah because Dylan has received Torah here today. So while we don't get to pass the Torah from hand to hand, while we don't get to actually see it get passed because of all of the restrictions of today, we know that we are here today, we are learning Torah here today because of the way that Torah has been passed from hand to hand and, in fact, from heart to heart and from mind to mind, because this is a first in my rabbinic career. When I sat down to meet with Dylan for the first time, he had already written his speech. Do you know why? Because his grandma had sat down and studied it with him, talked about it with him, and together they came up with the idea, and she coached him in writing his speech. So if that is not the passing of Torah from generation to generation, I don't know what is. So as we learn Torah from you today, Dylan, we are also going to imagine the grandchildren that you are going to teach Torah to, and hoping you'll continue with family tradition, and when your grandkids someday sit down with their rabbi, they're going to say, "We already did it. Learned it from my grandpa." And that's going to be you. So we look forward to learning Torah from you today. And you are giving us such a delightful way to learn this Torah portion, which is, I will say, notorious for the specificity of dealing with skin afflictions and bodily fluids. Welcome to Torah portion, Tazria Mitzora. It's never been so relevant, this idea of quarantining due to illness, but we are going to learn about it in a new way today from Dylan as we get ready to study Torah together. So with that, let's stand and turn to our Seder Kriyat HaTorah, which you can find on page 362.
Kamocha v'Elohim Adonai vein kemaasecha malechutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai imloch leolam va'ed Adonai oz le'moitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim eitiv avirtzonecha et Zion. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim. Ki v'cha levad patachnu melech elcham v'nisa Adon ha'olamim. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah. Udevar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah Torah. Le'amo Yisrael bekedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Gadol Shemo. Gadol Adonai iti uneromema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula ve'hagevura ve'hatiferet ve'hanetzach ve'hahod. Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha ve'aminasei lechol lechosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lechad chodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lechad chodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Al shlosha devarim. Al shlosha devarim. Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim. Al shlosha devarim. Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed.
So we have come to the reading of Torah itself. Camp, that's pretty nice. By the time you get done singing, it's all just set up for you. Works out pretty nicely. Yeah, now you get to close Lysol. So speaking of Lysol, this week's Torah portion, as I mentioned, it's about all kinds of disgusting things. And the best part is, and I don't even mean this facetiously, the actual best part is at the beginning of Mitzvah, which is the second Torah portion in this double Torah portion, we see the ritual for re-entering, which couldn't be more relevant, especially looking out and actually seeing people here in the sanctuary. And we notice that as each one of us takes kind of our next steps into re-entry, whether we've been vaccinated or we're starting to eat outdoors or maybe go to a movie or kind of tentatively starting to do some of these things or coming to synagogue for the first time in 13 months perhaps, we find ourselves taking a moment before we do the thing, whatever the thing's going to be, whether it's taking a deep breath, whether it's, getting your Priorel or spraying down the handle of the door you're about to open, whatever it is, we find these moments to ritualize the thing it is that we are about to do. Some of them are new, like the Purell and the, all of those things, putting on our mask, right? These are all new rituals. But what has been amazing to see is the old rituals that endure, the things that are never going to stop happening. Maybe we don't shake hands anymore, but we find new rituals of greeting. Maybe we don't go inside restaurants anymore, but we still go out to dine on the patio, or whatever your boundary is, right? And another one of these traditions, another one of these rituals that endures is becoming an adult in the eyes of our tradition. That no matter what happens Jewishly, no matter what is happening in the world around us, we find ways to maintain our most important rituals. And so, Dylan, as you chant today from Parshat Tazria Mitzorah, we know that not even a global pandemic can stop us from studying ancient skin diseases. And we thank you not for that in particular, but for bringing Torah to us even in a trying time, and for knowing the importance of maintaining rituals. So Dylan, with that, we invite you to come up to the Torah as you get ready to read from are you reading from Tazria? Yes, from the beginning of Tazria. You can find it if you are following along in the Plout Chumash, which I don't think anyone here is. You can follow it in your Torah pamphlet that you have there, the smaller piece of paper. Those of you at home, if you're using your Plout, it's on page 735. And for our first Aliyah, we invite your dad's family, Keith and Sherry Colombik, and we acknowledge Doug and Stacy Lawrence, who were not able to be here, but are here. So we invite them for an honorary Aliyah, and Keith and Sherry for a physical Aliyah to the Torah.
Ya'amdu Rishon, Ya'amdu Yehuda v'Sara.
So for people who are not in Dylan's household, you'll come up to the Cantor's freshly sanitized podium.
Baruch Adonai HaMvarach.
Baruch Adonai HaMvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Sure. Baruch Atah.
Oh, wait, hang on, he has to read.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I like that you're excited about Torah. Me too.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe ve'el Aharon lemor. Adam kihiyeh ve'or basaro se'et. Osapachat o vaheret v'haya ve'or basaro lenegat sarat. Vehuva el Aharon hakohen o. El achad mibana hakohanin. Vera'ah hakohen et hanega be'or ha'basar. V'se'ar ba'nega ha'fach lavan. Umareh hanega amak be'or basaro nagat sarat. Hu vera'ahu hakohen v'timei yoto.
Okay. Baruch
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayenu olam natan b'tokenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher Koach, hugs and kisses, if that's what your family's been doing. I don't know. All right, thank you. You can have a seat as we invite our second Aliyah. We invite Arlene Bloom and Howard and Dana Bloom.
Tamod Esther Chaya, Yamod Faivish Ben Esther Michael, Tamod, Zana bat Zanen v'Susan, Yamdu Sheinit.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'im baheret lefanahi ve'or basaro ve'amok in marahamin ha'or usara lo hafach lavan ve'hiskir hakohen et hanega shivat yamim ve'ra'ahu hakohen bayom hashagvi ve'hine hanega amak ve'enav lo fasa hanega ba'or ve'hiskiro hakohen shivat yamim shenit.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And for our third Aliyah, we invite Dylan's parents, Brian and Rosie Colombik.
Ya'amod Baruch ben Yehuda Ta'amod Rachel bat Michael ve'Esther Ya'amdu Shlishi. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Stand by your son.
Vera Hakom.
I want them to hear you.
Amen. Vera Hakoheno to bayom hashvi shenit behina keha hanega velo fasa hanega baor vetima o hakohen mispachati vekibes begadav etaher veim paso tifse hamispachat baor achare hera oto El HaKohen, Letahorato, Vindrashenit, El HaKohen, Vera'ah HaKohen, Vehine, Patata, Hamispah Chapa Or, Vetima El HaKohen, Sarati.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher Koach. And now, Brian and Rosie, you stay up there for one more moment, because this is the moment where Dylan becomes bar mitzvah. Everything that he's done so far is something that can be done by any Jewish person who has learned and trained and knows how. But to say the blessing before and after the Torah reading, that is something that requires an adult to do. So this is the moment that he becomes an adult in the eyes of our tradition, which is not exactly, he can't go and rent an R-rated movie yet, but he can say the blessing before the Torah reading. And it does mean that we are on the road, on the way to becoming an adult.
Yamod, Yamod, Habachur bar mitzvah, Dogon ben Baruch ורחל, חזק, חזק ונתחזק.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Negat sarat ki tiyeh be'adam. Vahu va'el hakohen. Vera'ah hakohen. Vehineh seit lavana ha'or. Vehi hafecha se'ar lavan. Umicheyat basar chai basei. Tzarat noshenet hi. Be'or basaro v'time'o hakohen. Lo yaskirenu ki tamehu.
Take your seat. I want you to go ahead and touch right there. That's fine. Yep. All right, Mr. Bar Mitzvah. Nice and loud.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'hayei olam nata b'tzorchenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Yasher Koach. Yasher Koach. Beautiful job. Hugs and kisses for your parents. And then you can go sit and relax for a moment. Whew. You're not done yet, but that was a big, big moment. So at this point in our service, we turn to our prayer for healing. We think of those in our community, in our lives, and in our world who are in need of mental healing, physical healing, and spiritual healing. You can find Mishaberach, our prayer for healing, on page 371 or page 253. If there's someone you're thinking of, you may say their name at this time. And if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, you can feel free to put those names in on the chat, and we will hold them in our hearts as we offer this prayer.
Mishaberach Avotenu ve'imotenu Avraham, Yitzhak ve'Yaakov Sarah, Rivka, Rachel ve'Leah Hu yevarech, hu yerapeh et hacholim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimaleh rachamim aleihem lehachal imam urabotam ulachazikam V'yishlach lahem mehera refuah shlema min hashamayim refuah hanefesh urufat haguf hashta bagalav izman kariv v'nomar Amen.
May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen.
Let's stand now as we lift the Torah and dress it.
Bezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. 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 Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. You may be seated.
Be seated. And we'll turn now to Dylan's Haftarah portion. The Haftarah is a supplemental portion that in times when we were not able to read Torah publicly, these readings from prophets and other later books of the Tanakh would supplement with the similar lessons and complementary teachings. So this morning, Dylan will be chanting from 2 Kings, chapters 4 and 5. Does that sound right to you, Cantor? Sometimes I get that.
Haftarah for Mitzvah?
No, I think that's the one for Tazria. So,
Okay.
Cantor's going to tell you
No
which
worries.
one. These double portions are so tricky.
So what we have done with our B'nai Mitzvah is that we don't want to go ahead and give them too much to do to where their hair looks like mine. So what we do, we go ahead and we have them chant the Torah portion and then the Haftarah portion from the second Torah portion that's supposed to be combined. So we will go ahead and we will do the Haftarah from Metzorah. And the story behind that is that there are these 4 lepers that are at the gate of the city, and obviously a lot of people were afraid of leprosy back then, and so these lepers are deciding whether or not they should go ahead and move to this Aramean camp. So it is 2 Kings 4, not too far away from 2 Kings 2. 2 Kings 4, and Dylan will be chanting right from the beginning, verses 42 through 44. Nope, he will not be. That's also my bad. You're chanting the end. Oh, wow. Okay, starting on verse 16 of chapter 5. Let's go ahead and hear Dylan chant the blessings before the Haftarah on page 372.
Can I do that in my book? Yeah. Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divrechem hana'emarim ve'emet Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayomer Chai Adonai Asher Amati Lefana Imecha Vayivsabo Lakachat Vaima'en Vayomer Naaman Velo Yutena La'avdecha Masat Semet Teradim Adama Ki Lo Ya'aseh Od Abdecha Olav Azevach Lelochim Acherim Ki Im Adonai Ladavar Hazech Yislach Adonai La'avdecha Bevo Adoni Betrimon Lehishtachavot Shama Fehu Nish'an Al Yadi Behishtachavetri Beit Rimon Behishtachabayati Beit Rimon Yislach Adonai La'avdecha Badavar Hazech Vayomer Lo Lech Leshalom Vayelech Me'ito kivrat aret. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol ha'olamim tzadik b'kol hadarot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'yomer ve'oseh ha'imdaber u'mkayem shekol davarach emet v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'linucha lechavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umrachim otach yitbarach shema befi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Yasher Koach, my friend. Can we all say Yasher Koach? I'm going to paraphrase it. It means job almost well done. Job well done for this, but you're not done, right? Fantastic, wonderful, wonderful chanting. So not only has Dylan prepared to chant really from 2 Torah portions this morning, he has also worked with his grandma to go ahead and develop a wonderful and poignant teaching on what he has learned from Parashat Tazria that he will go ahead and share with you now. Yes?
Good morning and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for being here on this very special day, the day you become a bar mitzvah. As I become a bar mitzvah, I got to read from the Torah for the first time. This is a pretty amazing experience for me because my ancestors thousands of years ago read the same words. My Torah portion is Tazria Mitzvah. It talks about illnesses and their treatments. This is not some far-off idea, but it is something we can all relate to today. Tazria Mitzvah begins by discussing different forms of ugly skin disorders. It starts by talking about leprosy, which made a person pure or impure. If a person had symptoms of this illness, it was his responsibility to go to a priest for spiritual help. The priest would then force him to quarantine for 2 weeks. At the end of this period, the priest would then declare him pure or impure. Some other ugly skin disorders were also discussed. Many of them require the person to stay outside the city until his condition cleared up. Most importantly, the Torah reminds us that even in the most contagious diseases, we must not let the sick person suffer alone. The Torah requires the priest to make regular checks on the sick and to make sure they return to the community when ready. Even though today we do not experience the same things that are in my Torah portion, there are still some lessons we can learn from Parsha. The Torah reminds us to not let the sick suffer alone. With the COVID crisis today, we can relate to this. Even though COVID patients can't have visitors in the hospital, the medical professionals try to provide social contact for them by staying with them and talking to them as much as possible. The COVID crisis has especially affected the elderly who cannot leave their homes and who have lost all contact with their friends and family. Many people become mentally sick from such isolation and loneliness. As the Torah teaches us, we need to keep in constant touch with the isolated sick and make sure their needs and services are met. Thankfully today, modern technologies such as Zoom and FaceTime have helped to make people feel they are not alone. Another theme of my Parsha is the healing process of separation by quarantine to prevent the spreading of the illness. With our COVID crisis today, we are all familiar with this and know how important it is to follow the guidelines to keep us safe. Even though Tazria was not a pretty portion of the Torah, it taught us some good lessons. My mitzvah project has to do with our present world in my Torah portion. What started out as helping my Nina last March turned out to be my mitzvah project that lasted a year. You see, my Nina lives alone since my papa died. Lucky for us, she lives in the neighborhood next to us. She was terrified to go anywhere last year. We would order her groceries every week, and I would put them in her car. If there were heavy items, I would follow her to her house and carry them inside for her. Every day I would call her and check to make sure she was okay. My brother and I often rode our bikes to her house, where we sat outside and chatted with her. She said that was the best part of her day. My Nina knows a lot, except for anything that has to do with technology. I was happy to assist her with computer issues, especially when it came to ordering items online. My Nina is always helping us, and it made me feel so good to be able to help her this year. Preparing for my bar mitzvah has made me realize how important my heritage is to me, and I hope to hand it down to my future children. I would like to thank Rabbi Mason-Barkin, Cantor Ettinger, and Cantor Wendy for helping me prepare for my very special day. Also, a special thanks to my awesome brother Matthew and my wonderful parents who are also supportive. I also want to thank my grandpa, Nana, and my Nina for celebrating this special day with me. I am very lucky to have two great grandparents, Papa Bob and Grandma Rose, and I want to thank them for attending my Zoom service today. Last but not least, I want to thank Aunt Dana, Uncle Howard and Micah, and Aunt Stacy, Uncle Doug and Braden and Shoshana, who all came in from California to celebrate my bar mitzvah. It really meant a lot to me. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koach. Once again, Dylan, thank you so much for bringing even more meaning to this Torah portion.
Oh, yeah, you did.
So we are going to prepare to put the Torah away now, and Dylan, we're gonna now's the fun part. Now you get to sit back and look at that smile. Finally, you're here. Now you get to relax while you just kind of get to bask in everything you have just accomplished. So let's stand up as we prepare to put the Torah back in the ark, and I would like to invite Brian and Razi to come up to the bima.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לימו. תהילה לכל חסידיו. לבני ישראל עם קרובו, הללויה, הללויה. עץ חיים היא, למחזיקים בה, ותומכיך מאושר. דרכיך דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיך שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Well, here we are. We have made it to this moment, and Dylan, you have brought your family on such a journey. And it is incredible to see you standing here this morning wearing your papa's tallis and standing with your brother who's going to, in just 2023, you're going to switch places. We're going to be talking to him about this. But Brian and Razi, as my kids get older, I look at the parents of the B'nai Mitzvah students, and I am just so vividly aware of that moment when you meet your child. And you know that 13 years from now, you're going to be standing here, but you don't know what it's going to look or feel like until that moment arrives. And here we are, so I know how powerful that must be. Dylan, when we sat together yesterday, we enjoyed you had a Frappuccino, I had a shaken almond milk espresso, something or other. But we were talking, I asked you what you wanted to be when you grow up, and you had a really interesting answer. You said, I'm not really sure, but you told me all the things that you used to want to be. You said, you wanted to be a golfer, but then, to be a professional golfer, you have to be really, really good. And then you told me that you used to want to be an orthopedic surgeon. You told me about the story about when Lillian, Jackie's daughter, went down the slide, and then you went down after her here at Shannon Preschool, and you fell and broke your arm and learned what it meant, but then you realized it was really, really hard to be an orthopedic surgeon. And I want to put a little post-it there, put a little flag there about things that are really, really hard. Because today, you chanted all of this, like you have been to rabbinical school, or like you have studied to be, like you have chanted Torah like it is second nature to you today. You did it beautifully and quickly with a lovely singing voice. And then, not only did you chant it like a pro, and I mean that, but you also took this Torah portion that is the Torah portion that people dread because of all of the crazy stuff that's in there, all of the icky stuff that's in there, and you took probably the hardest Torah portion to apply to our lives, and you made it not just relevant, but meaningful and emotional and powerful. And you taught us something not just about the strange era that we are living in, but how we can become better people in this strange era. Dylan, what you did today was really hard. It was really hard, and I know that there were moments where you weren't quite sure, and as more things kept getting thrown at you, like, I figured out Torah, now I got to do Haftarah, now I got to do my speech, now I got to figure out when to take breaths and look up while I'm, like, it just, the hard things just kept coming, and you just kept doing them. And so if you were to take away anything from this day, what I hope and pray that you will take away is that you can do very hard things, that you are capable of a tremendous amount. And while it's nice to sit back and relax, and I love to sit back and relax too, it is also really, really good to take on something really hard and to see just how much you can achieve. So I wouldn't count out being a professional golfer, an orthopedic surgeon, or whatever crazy dream that you can dream up, because you've proven to us today that if you can make Tazria Mitzvah relevant for a 13-year-old kid, that you can do anything, absolutely anything. And we can't wait to not only see what it is, but to be a part of it, because this is your home. You grew up here. You broke your arm falling off the slide here. We are a part of, we're literally in your bones, Dylan. We are a part of your story. And so I hope that as you figure out what your next hard thing is that you're going to learn to do, that your friends here at Congregation Beth Israel, you mentioned maybe becoming a madrich in our religious school program. You're going to teach those kids some Torah and how to do this hard thing too. So with that, we offer you these words of blessing and hope that you will take this with you onto your next important achievement. May God bless you and may God keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's face shine upon you and always be gracious to you.
Yis Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom shalom.
May you always feel God's presence within you, and may you always be blessed with peace.
V'yasem lecha shalom, shalom.
Amen. Siman tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov u'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov
v'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov v'siman tov, yehelanu.
You totally did it.
Siman tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov v'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov v'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov v'siman tov, yehelanu.
You can be seated.
Am I saying it? Yeah.
No, you'll stay.
So, Dylan, we've had the chance to say nice things to you. You've had the chance to say nice things to all of us, and now it is your parents' turn.
Dylan, your mom and I are so proud of how well you did today. But more than that, we are proud of the wonderful young man you have become. You are kind, generous, and caring. We have seen these qualities in the loving way you treat others, especially your brother. Dylan, I can remember my bar mitzvah as if it was yesterday. It's hard to believe that I'm now watching my son become a bar mitzvah. When Mom and I began this journey, we thought today was mostly about celebrating your special 13th birthday and assuming your role as a responsible adult in the Jewish community. However, over time, we began to view your bar mitzvah as something greater. Today is also about family and traditions. Mom and I have tried to instill upon you the importance of passing down these traditions to future generations. We hope you will always see the importance of keeping your faith and living by values the Torah teaches us. What everyone may not know is that Dylan is a collector. He's a basketball shoe collector. You can always see Dylan wearing new Jordans, LeBrons, Kyries. He's a collector of basketball cards, which he likes to buy, sell, and trade. He's always looking for the best rookies and autographed cards. He's also a collector of family experiences and enjoys reminiscing about our family's past adventures and memories. I believe today will also be added to that collection of family memories of you becoming a bar mitzvah, and we will reminisce about today for years to come. Thank you for all your hard work to get to where you are today, so all of your family and friends that are here in person and also watching online can share in your day.
Dylan, ever since you were little, you've shown a sincere interest in learning about our Jewish traditions. Beth Israel became your second home, and your preschool years here had a huge impact on you. Your wonderful teachers taught you so much about traditions and how special they are. I can remember all the art projects you made in preschool, the candlesticks, the afikoman cover, just to name a few. Yes, I have fancy candlesticks and afikoman covers, but I treasure the ones you made and prefer to use them because they became part of our family traditions. Dylan, we live in a crazy world, and I hope you will always let your Jewish faith keep you grounded. Today, you're surrounded by so much love from your brother, grandparents, aunt, uncle, and cousins, as well as family and friends who are watching the service. I know you wish Papa could be here, but you know that as always, he's looking down upon you with pride and love. Dylan, as you grow into a man, I said I wasn't going to get emotional now. Dylan, as you grow into a man, we want you to remember we will always be here for you no matter what. We love you, and we're just so, so proud of you. Dylan, may you be blessed with all the health and happiness for all the days of your life. We love you.
Say bye to your eyelashes.
Beautiful words. Dylan, here's the deal with parents crying. They've been waiting for this day for 13 years, and that's a lot of emotion that's got to spill out. So it is a welcome tears. Dylan and Rosie, thank you so much. Dylan, you hang out there. Matthew, you're going to go have a seat. But Matthew, you're going to come back up at the end for a little motzi, right? Beautiful. So Dylan, we also have some words and some items for you on behalf of the congregation, which Cantor is going to present to you.
My turn, my friend. So
No tears, Cantor.
it's hard. Today is a wonderful day, and we've really had two exceptional B'nai Mitzvah join us on this bima, and it's been such an honor for us to go ahead and be with you. I'm not going to repeat all of the wonderful things that your parents said and that the rabbi said and that your Nina lovingly said, but I am going to mention something that I noticed, okay? And from the first day I met you, you struck me as a young man who is not afraid of going 1,000,000 miles a minute. And you ask such beautiful, beautiful questions, and I could see the gears that are just going on in your head. And the reason why you're such a good gamer, because I know you are a gamer, is because of that. I want to tell you something and show you something that I noticed up here, because you were chanting beautifully and you chanted flawlessly and you got through everything. And you got up to do your Torah blessing like this, and you initially started really fast, and this second word got away from you. And something that I saw, it was almost as if, and forgive me, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Somebody went like this and held you and pushed you back, and I could see an overwhelming outpour of emotion from you. Do you remember the moment I was talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, if you did, good improvisation. But the fact of the matter is, what made you truly brilliant this morning is not how well you did everything out loud, not only everything you did out loud, but also the things that we didn't see, the beautiful times that you embraced the pauses so that we could all be here in this service with you, okay? Yes, you ask a lot of wonderful questions. When will I? When will I? When will I? Am I doing this? Am I doing this? When will I? When will I? And when you embrace the pauses, you allow God to say, now is when, and here is what you will do. And so never stop embracing those wonderful, wonderful pauses so you can continuously all the wonderful blessings you have in your life. Mazel tov to you. So on behalf of the clergy and the congregation of Congregation Beth Israel, it is an honor for me to present to you with your Siddur. This was not the first day you started using the Siddur. You've been using this the entire time you have been preparing. And these have all of the wonderful keys to our tradition, our liturgical moments that can help you forge the pathways that you want to go down in your life. Before we went ahead and we came out here today, we presented you with a mini Torah that is rolled to your Torah portion, just in case you want to go ahead and test your knowledge a couple of months from now. We also presented to you a certificate with $250 towards Camp Stein. We also planted a tree in your honor. I hope you'll get to Israel someday, hopefully on the big trip, and visit that tree. And a philanthropy fund has been started for you in your honor, and we hope that throughout your years here as a madrich, as a counselor at camp, whatever you decided to do, that you will grow that with us as we look forward to watching you grow throughout the years to come. So on behalf of all of us here at Congregation Beth Israel, your family, your support network, we wish you and your family Mazel Tov. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
So, Dylan, with all of that love, you've just got one more little thing to do, but it's not yet. Let's stand together for Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
At this time, we turn in our thoughts and in our words to those who are no longer with us. We think of those who have died in recent days, and we remember those who have died at this time in years past. And today in particular, we remember those generations of Dylan's family who we know are with you in heart, in spirit, and in soul. Let's turn to page 598 or 294. If there's anyone that you are remembering today and you would like to share their name out loud, you may do so at this time. And if there's someone you are remembering and you are watching at home on YouTube or Facebook Live, you may add their names into the chat as we take them into our hearts. And we say together, Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon u'vyomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. B'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'Kedoshah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those who are in mourning and comfort to all who are bereaved as we say amen.
Amen. So we're going to invite up Matthew to go ahead and join his brother at the Amud as we get ready to say Kiddush and Motzi, but first we will join together in a prayer for peace. So say Shalom. O say Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. There should be a Kiddush cup right underneath for you, Dylan. Beautiful. Let's join together in the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim. Don't worry, it's grape juice. It's a good year for grape juice.
Matthew, there should be a
There
challah
you
under
go.
there that you can find as well. Take a look.
Matthew, if you'll take out the challah. Now's your big moment, bud. Officially on deck.
And take the cover off.
It's a challah. Okay, Matthew, lead us in the motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lahem min ha'aretz.
Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom and
Mazal
mazel
tov.
tov.